One of my favorite foods is Spanish food. I love Mexican food. It's one of my top favorite foods of all time. But something really interesting about whenever I go into Spanish restaurants, out of everything that they have on the menu, after you have the chicken tortilla, you have the rice and beans, you have the flautas, you have the burritos. Isn't it strange how whenever you see the cooks eat, they're not eating anything on the menu? Now, you have to really pay attention to this. If you ever look at any of the cooks or waiters who are working at the Spanish restaurant, they're never really eating anything off the menu. I remember seeing this Spanish worker, this lady, sitting in the back. That's what I love about Spanish people. They just down to earth. They pretty much you pretty much in their house when you're eating. Like it's like I don't need to go to the back office and eat. They'll eat pretty much out with you or somewhere where you can kind of see them, where they can kind of still be alert and stuff like that. I love that. But they pull out this little Tupperware with a little red top on it, steamy, and then they start to bring out all these other little side items. I'm like, wait a second, where is that at? That's not even on the menu. Like, what is that? And it's usually always something from the house, even though they work at a restaurant. And I find that very interesting, even in other different fields of work. Let's say a salon, working at a barbershop. You ever went to a barbershop where this, I mean, beautician or esthetician or barber can cut some amazing hair? I mean, she can whip it. But when it comes to her own hair, it's not the same. It's different. It's almost like as if nobody had touched their hair. Only they can touch their hair. It's kind of the same thing with Mexican food and some of these places where you go and they're not eating off the menu. They're not serving themselves what they serve. I find that very like entrepreneurs and CEOs and creatives where we're so used to serving everybody else, but the way we treat ourselves, the way we treat our brand, the way we treat our own kind of not just image, but the thing that we really care about, like we really don't serve it in the way that we would serve somebody else. And what is that thing that stops us from being able to serve ourselves as good as we serve others? And I'm not saying that the lady, at the Mexican restaurant was serving something less or subpar, but usually it's often, some leftovers or something that just happen to have around the house, or hopefully maybe it's even better, which I believe it is. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes the person who cuts everybody else's hair, who styles everybody else's hair, who styles everyone else's hair, they don't get the same treatment. And sometimes it's hard to work on you when nobody is serving you, because you're doing all the serving. I can't tell you. Matter of fact, yes, I can. Everybody I know, maybe besides one, Mark LeBron, I'm gonna shout you out, who has the ability to serve themselves as well as they serve others. And this may be one of the hidden Achilles heel of any entrepreneur, CEO, creative that I know. And it's hard for them to recognize them. We work with CEOs, we work with executives, we work with high creators in many different fields on many different levels. And sometimes it's really hard for them to see not only the value in themselves, but the point. I can't tell you how many arguments I've had about selling someone to them, close friends, even some colleagues and clients, where they couldn't, literally, they needed to pay somebody else. They needed to get counsel. They needed to get consulting. They needed to get confirmation on them, even though they do it for everybody else. And so sometimes you may see it's like, man, it's just kind of going over your head, or you kind of blind to it. The numbing of the person who serves everyone else but themselves. I'm not sure what that is or what stops people from truly being able to see the potential or fully believing in themselves, by finding it to be worse than working with regular people who don't have a brand, who don't have an image, who don't have face value. Because usually the people who have this high level of value is usually serving it or selling it away. And it's very, very hard for them to do it for themselves. That's what that reminds me of when I see someone kind of eating maybe less than, I'll say that, than what they serve. And so I'm very curious about this, because probably half of my conversations are based on helping other people see the potential that they don't see, and that's a unique gift I have, because I know what it's like to be overlooked. I know what it's like to be undervalued. I know what it's like for people to even see the potential, but kind of just push you to the side, or not really invest into you or help excel you into a thing. They just kind of keep you over here, and I really feel like that we're all kind of suffered or suffering from a position of being undervalued, not having someone put attention or investment into you. And sometimes it comes to a shocker as people when I tell them, like, hey, do you know that you can do this? Do you know that you're made for this? Do you know that you do this thing so natural? Like, and most of it just go right over their head, like, really? Or it's, oh yeah, I know, or yeah, people tell me that. And it's like, you still trying to figure out how you gonna make money. You still trying to figure out where your value, worth, or fortune maybe is. You still trying to figure out how you're gonna serve the community. You still trying to figure out who you're gonna serve. And really, we all know the person the best to serve is the person you once were. And sometimes it's hard to find the person you once were when you don't know who you are right now. I know for me, it took me about 5 years to fully understand and to really even get to back and really even to get back to who I was, but who I was becoming. Because what I was becoming was way more dangerous than who I ever was. And I know people are suffering from this. I don't even know what type of syndrome this is. I might find out a name by the end of this, but it's this thing to where you're enabled uh, to see the value in yourself and what you bring to the table. And I don't know why fully entrepreneurs, creatives, and founders and CEOs can't see this value in themselves. Even for example, because you're so used to creating value or consulting or building the thing, let's say the product, that you're putting so much energy in building that thing that you never fully identify who built it or who helped you build it. That's why if you ever comment or have any feedback about someone's work, someone's product, someone's strategy, someone's career, they take it offensively. They take it personally. Why? Because their image or their potential or their value has been made or has been wrapped up into the thing that they built or the person that they worked for or worked with instead of internally. There's a big and stark difference in where you obtain the value of yourself. I don't want you to be cutting everybody else's hair, styling everybody else's hair, and you walk in looking what we call from the hood a hot mess. You don't want to be looking a hot mess in a place where you are creating and setting the bar for what true excellence looks like. And I get it that some of us don't have the time to focus on ourselves. Some of us don't have the resources or the help, which a lot of us actually really need. We need people to help kind of get the thing out of us because we're serving so many other people. But I would challenge you to take the time out to, like, you know what? Let me carve out an additional 10 to 15 minutes and just focus on me and my stuff. Who and what I am. Because a lot of us don't think about that stuff until we're already retired. It's too late. And when we start to really get more anxietal and depressive because we're starting from a place where we don't fully know who we are, what we're capable of, what's the value of it. We can't even assign a number to it. When that's actually the ultimate thing that people are paying for. They're not just paying for the product and the service, they're paying for you. But if you don't know you, you won't get the full value or intentionality out of the best of you. And so I want to bring that to the closet, where we're able to be real. Like, I know what it's like to suffer from imposter syndrome. I know what it's like to suffer feeling undervalued, and it's wrapped in the organization, it's wrapped in other people you've helped. But there's so much more water in the well instead of in the buckets. So you give out buckets of you daily, you underestimate the well. You fully underestimate the well. And I want to talk to friends of mine. I'm actually talking to every friend I know who's limited on faith, who's limited on sight, who's limited on vision. You're limited on vision because you never had the ability, one, for someone to pour into you, to invest into you, to help you realize your value, but also you haven't been able to take the time to do for yourself. And it's one of my favorite things to do is not only tell people their potential, make them aware of it, reveal it, but help them see it and help them actually bring it into fruition. I can imagine the value that you give away, that you serve, that you sell to others for their purpose, for their book, for their ministry, for their business. What would happen? I'm just saying, and I'm saying it out loud. What would happen if you turned and exerted half of that energy toward yourself? And the dreams and the vision and the easy skills that come to you. What if you just used it for you? What if you use your own power for the vision and the good of the dream that you have? What if you just turned it towards you? I believe most of us need to take what we invest out and turn it inwards. Not to be selfish, but really to be maximum selfless. I think that is one of the highest ways a person can be selfless, not towards just someone else, but towards yourself. That's not selfish. You're being selfless, less of who you are, meaning you're the person to give out. You're the person to help everybody over here and to help to do that. And then I think we need to become a little bit more selfless and invest into the parts of you that need to be a little bit selfish towards you. I know that's a crazy paradox. I know that's a crazy stuff of words, but I think it's time. Because some of you, by the time you look up, it's too late and you're trying to figure it out. And we're 30, we're 40, we're 45, we're 50. And you've done a great job at serving and building your family and getting to where you are right now. But it's time to stop being confused about who you are and what you're made of, because you're absolutely extraordinary. Most of my friends are very, very extraordinary. Like, I mean, top tier, educated, they're smart, they're go-getters, they're builders, they're visionaries. And sometimes, especially those of us who come from a faith background, those of us who've grown up and served in church, church can be the most undervaluable place to ever serve and work in. It just is. One, we're in it, and I'm going to say this out loud, and I love that this is clauses because I get to say exactly what I'm thinking. But whenever you serve at church or serve a pastor or serve in some type of position, one, you already have this environment where the mission is not about you, it's about the we, and it's about he, which I get it. In a way, I think we have that backwards. I don't believe at all that Jesus come for him to be served, for him to be worshiped, for him to be glorified. I will never believe it. I didn't get that from the Bible. I got that other people and humans did that. Why? Because we worship anything. We'll make anything a god. That was kind of the whole point of the book. Like, wait, y'all worshiping, y'all turning everything into a god down here. What is going on? You taking the word, you're taking the scripture, you're taking the law, and you made it a god. You worship that more than the God that's sitting in front of you. That was the first thing. And in church, we have this, oh, it's not about us. It's all about him. And he's saying, oh, it's not just about me. I came here for you. I built all this for y'all. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's a win-win situation. That's why Jesus says, if you pay attention, Jesus says, I hope y'all become one with me like I am with the Father. I hope that y'all can see yourselves as we see you and as we see us. I'm gonna preach a little bit here because I need to waken up some of the false narratives, some of the just backwards teaching, whether you want to be super theological, whether you want to be super charismatic, whether you want to be super churchy, whether you want to be super religious. This isn't rocket scientists. Jesus came for us to have life and life more abundantly. Some of you will add a bunch of religious rules to that. And yeah, but no, that was a great sacrifice. Why did you come for the benefit of us? The Bible says that God so loved us, the world, that he gave something just to prove it. That he gave something just to prove it. And sometimes a lot of the church language demonifies, like we say, oh, I'm a ranch undone, or I'm no good, I'm a filthy rag. I remember hearing all kinds of just stupid stuff in church that make people just say more stupider stuff about themselves because they got to come back to a church because this guy will tell them something different that you actually heard from a man, and then you went and read it in the Bible. That's not how that's supposed to go at all. You're supposed to be told that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and that God not only has a plan and purpose for you, but plans for you to prosper and to have a good life on this earth that he created for you to enjoy, to multiply, to reproduce, to distribute, to replenish, to subdue, and have dominion over the world. Did it for you. Did it for you. Served you. And I get it that it's easy to think all these bad and evil things about yourself and believe in a great God when I'm so glad this is a closet. How can you be this and all of this bad and worse when you come from the greatest thing that always has existed? How can you come from that? Your father, your creator. How did you come? How is he like that and you're like this? And I get it. And I get it. The world is jacked up. I get it that you come from a maybe a hard culture or community or way of life, but that's not how you were originally designed, though. That wasn't the full intent. It's like if we all came from the same Snicker and Hershey factory, we all came out the same. We've been QC'd the same, like we would all just be perfect. But that's just not how the world was. We all come from a different factory with different protocols with different quality control. And that quality we could not control. But God had grace and he had a plan for that. And I believe that plan was to remind you that, hey, you come from a good and loving Father who created you for his purpose, by him, for him, as him, period. Welcome to the closet. This is something I truly believe. And the older I get, the more and more I just believe it because I watch these things where people say and think about themselves and they don't realize who created them. They don't know where they come from. You fully don't know who created you. So I want to remind you of this because even though we're serving, which is great, even though we're building and adding value to other people's brands, career, businesses, way of life, way of building, all of that is great. But if you can't see the magic in your own eye, what magic is there at all? If you can't see it for yourself or benefit from it too as well. I love that Jesus says this. If you have religious ears, just look that way. He says, you will do greater than I did. Even though I come to serve you, you will do something even greater than I did. Meaning he's expecting for you to become great, to understand your power, to understand your authority, to understand your true gifts and the faith that you have. And so let me step back. The other reason why believers and entrepreneurs and CEOs and founders of faith get lost in their own brand and or their own value, let me say it like that, it's because you're used to serving at a church where there's the guy. All the tension's on the guy. Who? Your pastor. Your pastor. He's on the screen. He's on the books. He's on the talk shows. He's the guest speaker here and there. I get it. I get it. And you get a little starstruck. You get a little more focused on what your pastor is doing. I get it. But that's not Jesus. I love this so much about Jesus, where even in the Bible, people they couldn't even point him out to you. He was so cold-blooded at what he did. He was so crafty. He was so next level, that he was impactful and influential in one area, and at the same time still discreet, still low-key, still hanging out with the poor people, still unrecognizable, and that much more powerful. See, when you go to some of these churches, not all churches, and I appreciate the churches that keep the main thing, but some churches you go to that build a culture of the guy, or the culture of limitability, I'm gonna call it that, where nobody else is flourishing and multiplying like this guy. Nobody else is doing this on this level. It's not like people are being birthed from this. People are attracted to it, but being able to multiply it, that's a different thing. How many more people do we get like this? How many more LeBrons do we get from this? How many more Baracks do we get from this? How many more um, uh, Tiger Woods do we get from this? And I'm talking about skillful, I'm talking about notable, I'm talking about influential people. Sometimes having a very dominating, very domineering style leader who maybe is more charismatic, who's maybe more loud. Like, we all know this guy, but don't nobody know you. What can you do? What's your call? What's your gift? What's your skill? What are you called to dominate? And I know in the church, from what I've seen, I'm specifically talking about this realm where people stay captive, they stay small, because they always go to a place and they go and see a person that is bigger or looks bigger than them because they're on the screen. And that's probably not in the pastor's heart. That's not his intentions. That's just the way that it's set up. But it should always be reminding you and showing you the way in which God has made you valuable, how he has made you very distinct, very different. There's nothing else like you in the entire universe. There's nothing else that comes. You're one of one. You're one of one. Actually, I would say one of none. There's nothing else like you except your Heavenly Father. And so a lot of times, you hear the phrase that your greatest enemy to being great is the last good thing you did. So you won't even really be able to reach the next level of greatness because you were so either focused on the last thing you did for this job. You got that medal, you won that award, you helped that client, you done that thing. You can't see the next thing in front of you. You're hanging on to what was. I would say that there's way more up ahead than it is in the back. I would say that there's way more to you than what you're being funded for, meaning the paycheck you get every month. There's just way more to you. And some of you guys, it's hard to step out on faith. It's hard to take that level of faith because you've been so loyal. This hurts, but it freed me a long time ago. You've been so loyal. You've been down for the cause. You're committed. You're stellar at what you do. But you know that there's dreams, there's a hope. You know there's another. You know it's more. You know it's big too. But it's hard to make that sacrifice because you don't know what that's look like to focus on you. You don't know what it looks like to bet on you. And I believe God put all his chips in on you. You've served. You've done well. You helped them make millions of dollars. Great. And you're still paycheck to paycheck. I'm not talking to all y'all because all y'all not even listening, but everybody who's listening, I'm talking to every single one of you, including myself. I know what it's like to be this and serve. But when you know what you are, when you know who you are, when you know what you can do, when you know why you were created. Nothing in the world can stop you in any serving capacity, building capacity, scaling, multiplying, and selling capacity. There's nothing that can stop you. You know what you're made of. And you know how you can help others get to the finish line as you get to the finish line. Some people just want you to help them to get them to the finish line, which stagnates your growth or ability to see your value outside of them. That a lot of relationships break up that way. A lot of people don't really get to fall back in love because I just can't see myself without them. A lot of people don't leave that job for the same reason. I don't know how I'm going to make money, or I don't know who I am. What you are, I am. What are you talking about? You are, I am. Whatever you say, you are. You are. You don't even get to utter words like that. I'm giving you the license and the permission to do it. Jesus says, I am the way. Watch him say this stuff. This is so bold and so cold-blooded. It don't make sense until you actually say it out loud. Because anytime you put I am in front of anything, you just granted authority to yourself to take control, to also to become, and the ability to change. Watch, he also says, he was telling this to the Pharisees. He says, because they're going back and forth with the law, he says, wait a second, I am the law. Therefore, he can change it. He became exactly what they were reading. He's the walking law. He's the walking way. He's the walking wisdom. So he can apply it. He can show the way. And then he can also teach you. He can teach you the law, but also how to not to stick to it, because why? Love is greater than anything you will ever know. That's why he had to come and destroy what we thought we knew, including the law, and become it. He had to destroy our worship, our religious nature, to just hold on to that thing and say, let go and love. Let go and be great. Let go and become. And that's what I'm telling to all my friends today, but also to all of you guys who know that there's something different. You know that there's something more. You know there's something higher you've been called to. And here's what you know, that there's always going to be this. And you want to be along for the ride. But you can't be along for that ride if you won't get off the little elephant ride. You can't get on this ride if you won't stop walking around the park looking at all the other rides, wishing you can be on it, when you have your own roller coaster to be on, your own journey. And I want to encourage you to take those steps. And I'm talking to all the friends. If you know me, I'm talking directly to you, because all of us have the same problem and syndrome at one time or another. And it's time to be released, because why? You don't have all life. You don't have all the time. And what will it make of you? But also, what happens if you don't make it at all? What happens if you don't become the fullness of you? And I get life happens. Life is happening all over the globe, all over the world. But I just want to stop. It's 10:30 right now. I'm thinking about people who, and I'm going to come back to this topic often, because some people need to break chains off of them. Whether you go to church, whether you're in these groups, whether you work for this high up company, whether you're in a high up position, whether you're giving your all over here, whether you sold over here and you're trying to figure out how's it going to come back to you, what all does this make sense? One thing I do know is that God's ways are higher. It's way more intelligent. And whatever you would normally downplay, whatever you like sweep under the rug, whatever you would, I don't know about that. That's the thing you should be banking on. Because one thing I know about the enemy is that the enemy is the king of ingenuity. The very little thing that God is giving you so easy, he can manipulate or reverse engineer and make it not as valuable or insignificant, what God makes significant. He did that in the Garden of Eden. He did that in the Garden of Eden. Did God say? He just re-engineered. He just reverse engineered something that was already engineered and function to be obedient, something function to prosper. He just reverses you. He just takes you back. He makes you second guess who you are and what you're capable of. And I want to unlock that. I want to say, hey, God has already put enough here to rock the entire world. There's enough here to change a nation. There's enough here to conquer and to solve a war. There's so many leaders today that have gone absent because they didn't take the leap of faith. They didn't step into the call. They didn't step up to the plate. And now we have the most ridiculous, I don't even know the word for unintegral, but let's make that a word right now. The most disrespectful, disgraceful leaders I've ever seen in my lifetime. In the political realm, in the church realm, in business. Everybody's just loosey-goosey. Like, there's really no accountability. There's no bar at all being set. There's no, you think about all these positions and you think like, man, that's the highest of the land. No, it ain't. You can get that at a strip club. You can get that at, no shade on Walmart. Some Walmarts, y'all know, is ratchet out there. It's just, you don't even want to go to this Walmart. I'm gonna go to this Walmart because it's a little more cared for. But like, the bar is so low with leadership. And for people who are out of place, like, there's not enough people who understand their true nature, their true value to get in these positions of power without being ambitious and greedy for power. That's a different ballgame. And that's what we're missing in our societies. I think in some of our businesses and even in our families, like, we're looking for people who not can just wake up, not can just be woke or any of these things, but really understand, like, man, you're made from the hand of God. What are we doing? What are we talking about right now? You're created to do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens you. Jesus says like this: through us, through me and my pops, anything is possible. So anyway, I just want to encourage you that there's another beast inside. And I get to say this to entrepreneurs and creatives and CEOs because I know all y'all think it, but some of y'all don't be moving on it. There's a beast in you. There's somebody, if you told them out loud who you knew you was and what you say to yourself about yourself in your head, people are like, man, you real cocky, you real conceited. Yeah, you are. And that's okay, but it's for a reason. It's meant to actually be put into action. Because you got to know, you got to know how you play the game. You got to know why you're in the game. You got to know why you have a jersey. You got to know why you were picked, hand selected. You got to know why you know me. You got to know why you are on this podcast. Because if you get awakened, if someone just sparks you and you get up, here's something with every other species of humans besides us. I'm speaking to us in this closet. You're unstoppable. When it really clicked to you, I'm talking about everybody else. I'm not talking about your mama. I'm not talking about your spouse. I'm talking about anybody else. When it clicks to you, there's nothing in the world that can stop it. And most likely it's something that we need. We don't need more narcissists. We don't need more people who are all about themselves and full of this, full of that. Ego, pride. When they win, not everybody else wins. Like, nah, we're not dealing with that. You want to win. You actually want to be successful in different things that God has called you to be successful in. Because you actually have a heart for people. You actually have a heart to help others that are like you who are struggling. Others that are like you who have a dream, who have a vision. They just need a little help. They need somebody who care about them and their business as much as they do about their business. But that's hard to do when you're just focused in on the things. It's time for a shift now. It's time for you to bet on you. It's time for you to invest into you. And I don't know why I'm stressing that, but that's something I had to say to myself for a while because I know what I'm made of. I know how I think. I know that it's going to keep changing, and most likely it'll keep getting better if I keep staying submitted and grounded and accountable and mature and keep multiplying that. It'll get better. I'll get better. Got the right people around me. Oh, I'm straight. I got people that'll kind of slap me up a little bit and say, keep heading that way. I'll be good. I want to do the same thing for you in this closet. And I just want to remind you that, like, you don't have to settle for where you're at, for how old you are. The older you are, the more wisdom you have. The more wisdom you have, the more things you can do, the more things you can invest into, the more people you can help the older you get. Like in your prime, if you 40 and up, you got gold. You learn how to refine gold, silver, coals, and pearls. Like we know some stuff, but even if you're young, there's a lot in you. You have time. You're one of the wealthiest people in the world if you got time. So I just want to just maximize your day, bring you into the closet, because some stuff you can't say out loud. Only we be saying it to ourselves, and we be holding it in, and we be real like humble and like real nice. But like, look, there's a beast in there. There's somebody who actually really cares. There's somebody who really wants to make a difference, and you know you can make a difference. I want to challenge you, but I also want to give you the authority and permission to do just that, and to comment and let me know when you do it. And who did you help to make that happen? Because we need more leaders in the world, guys. Look, all of the leaders, they going down, and we're entertained by it. Like, I got to get rid of all of my like social because I keep seeing just foolishness everywhere because you didn't show up. We all looking at where were we in the face of greed? Anyway, welcome back to the Closet Chronicles. I'm your boy Antoine. This is where CEOs, creatives, founders, entrepreneurs have a place to not only hide but confide in the world of opportunity, in the world of value, a safe space, but also a place where you're going to be challenged to go back out and do it again. Do it better. And don't do it alone.